All right, it's 6 o'clock.
You're on punishment.
It's 6 o'clock p.m. It is 6 o'clock p.m. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the public comment session of York City Council for March 15, 2022. Public comments for non-agenda items only. If you're present and you would like to participate in public comment, please fill out our public comment form. Up first, we have Cliff Kern.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
So I know all of you know me, but for anybody else in here or watching that does not know me, I'm Cliff Kern. I run city employee, city resident, and I run White Rose Community Television. And I mainly just wanted to confirm, I sent everyone on council an email earlier today addressing my concerns with the city's residency requirement, and I just wanted to confirm that everybody received that. If not, I have copies of it here. I'd be glad to hand them out. And mainly, rather than reading it all, which I can if people want me to, but I just would like to know where we're at in the process. I know we had a meeting, several years ago, you all had a town hall meeting about it. I believe it was put on an agenda and tabled, and it's just sat there for the last several years. And so I just want to know, is it going to, or if you don't want to pass it, then don't pass it. But me and my family, we need answers so that we can make the appropriate decisions. Sure. I hate public speaking, by the way. That's why I didn't want to read my letter. But anyway. Good afternoon, Council. I'm emailing you today regarding the city's residency requirement. I have been a loyal city employee for close to 13 years now, and I have enjoyed living in the city for 12 years. I love my job, and I believe WRCT, White Rose Community Television, brings value to the city government as well as to the city residents that live here and in the county. As you already know, the residency requirement is hurting the city in the following ways. It's difficulty filling empty positions for months due to the lack of interest or qualification for current city residents, resulting in burnout, decreased morale for current employees, from current employees picking up the slack, inefficiency and delays in the government process, lost investments of time and money to secure the positions when employees decide not to stay once the time limit is up and they're required to move into the city. They just quit. Also retaining loyal and seasoned employees that have life changes. The vast majority of the city employees are not even required to live in the city, so why should less than a third of the employees like myself be required to? This is unfair and frankly a poor business strategy. From starting out as a volunteer to becoming the station manager, I've mastered many skills that have only come with time, trial, and error. With the help of a few sporadic volunteers, I do all the filming, editing, scheduling, streaming, engineering, troubleshooting to keep things running smoothly. This often involves nights, weekends, and holidays. I love and take pride in my work, and I want to see WRCT continue to be an asset to the city, county, and the residents for years to come. If I were to leave, I fear for the future of White Rose Community Television. I'm concerned the city would not be able to find a qualified broadcast engineer capable of maintaining WRCT while living in the city and while being paid the city's rather low salaries. On a personal note, when I purchased my small house, I was single and just starting out. I have since filled almost every square inch with a massive garden, including grapes, berries, multiple fruit trees. All these years later, I'm happily married and have 2 quickly growing boys, and I'm literally running out of space. I want my kids to be able to raise chickens, play in the woods, and maybe even have some farm animals. My priorities are faith, family, and employment, in that order. So, see, can't do it. I believe our family will thrive best in a more rural environment. So I implore you to please remove the residency requirement as soon as possible. Whatever your decision may be, I need to know your intentions so that we can move forward in making our life decisions. And I really don't want to leave, but we might need to. So that's it. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Joe Maruskin. Is that someone's laptop?
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to make comments. Since December, I've been in the press and at city council meetings and asking a number of questions about city council concerning the $6.5 million of Arpa funds that were to be given to local organizations to help York recover from COVID. And so I asked a number of questions. Some of them have been answered or partially answered, and I thank you for those answers. But others have remained unanswered and need clarity. I asked, why did City Council wait to stop the Arpa process until 150 plus organizations had completed applications? The committee had read all of them and awarded the funds. And I was told that there was no process or plan to address the entire amount. I apologize. I was asking not about the entire amount, but about the amount that was to be awarded to some of the local organizations for COVID relief. That amount was $6.5 million. The question asked was, why has City Council gave the organizations hope for funding, and then none of the funding was awarded? I also asked, please explain why Council does not have faith in the York organizations proposed in the 2022 budget, as stated in the December meeting. I received a response that Council has faith in many organizations throughout the city of York and beyond. However, the question specifically asked why it did not have faith in the 22 organizations that were to be awarded the funds designated by the 12-person committee. Why do you not have faith in those particular organizations? Because that's what was said. Also, I asked, there was a second round of grant application and funding was planned. Will that happen? Why or why not? City Council answered that there was no process or plan to address the entire amount. So reference to the first or second rounds are abstract. Applicants and committee members were specifically told that we were undergoing the first round and a second round of funding for community involvement in recovery would take place in the spring. The first round was not awarded, and the organizations have not heard anything. And the question is, will those funds ever be awarded? And will community organizations have an opportunity to apply for funding again? I also would like to ask, why does Council feel an unbiased consultant should be used instead of the committee and other York citizens to guide us in allocating what amount of money would be spent to hire a consultant? When I looked at the 2022 budget about a month ago, there was $250,000 or $250,000 in the budget for hiring staff to administer Arpa funds. I looked for the budget on the city website today to make sure I was correct and could only find the mayor's suggested budget. So my question is, please verify the amount of money that will be spent administering ARPA funds, and has staff been hired? I cannot help but think $250,000 would be very helpful to city residents in recovering from COVID. Finally, it seems a bit troubling that City Council decided to put aside the advice of the ARPA committee since they did not have faith in the organizations. Those awards can be found on the York City website, City York website under Finances and Budgets 2022. When I checked today, the 2022 budget is not on the website, but the proposed budget is. So to close, let me say, 150 organizations continue to wait to see if they will receive funding to support and expand the excellent work they are doing to build a better York and to recover from COVID. The question is, when will they and we have an answer to that question, or these questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Thank you. Lester Abbott.
It's good to be back in council chambers. It's good to see all of you in person again and all that. I think that's a good thing for the city, is for us to meet face to face and be able to talk. It's easier to be, to understand the other person's position when you physically have to see them. I come here today for two reasons. Number one was I watched City Council last week, and I seen the lady, and I forget her name. She was talking about residency for I believe the health department, and it got me to thinking. 15 years ago, whenever this issue came up, I was all in favor of that. Since then, I've been thinking, well, maybe that was wrong, because it hasn't really worked out the way I thought it would. And I didn't know about the gentleman here before me today, but he's a prime example of why I think it hasn't really worked. I do think, though, that if we have a pool of applicants for a job within the city, first off, I think city residency should be rescinded. But on the same token, if there is a city resident who is in the pool and near the top of the pool, like say the top 5 or top 3, that city resident should be given preference. Okay, that's what I feel. That way we can expand the pool of people and go in that way, and the administration can make decisions on who the top 3 or 5 are. And then, if any of those are resident or, say they're going to become a resident, then they should get preference. And like I say, I didn't know about the gentleman before me, but he's a prime example of what I'm hearing in this city. The second thing I came here for today was York Daily Record ran an article about dirt bikes on the roads. And I watched that a couple of different times. And I just want to say to the gentleman on Wallace Street, and I believe his name was Terry Albert or Albright, something like that. If he's listening to this message today, he's not alone on the East End. I myself, I'm upset with the dirt bikes. I do look out for them and take pictures and try to communicate where their nests should be at to the police chief. I would like to get together with him and a few of the other neighbors so we can try to use the neighborhood approach and all that to this problem. So if you're out there, Terry, please get a hold of me or get a hold of someone on council and they can get a hold of me. And maybe we can get this straightened out a little bit quicker than what it's going on right now before some other youth is killed because they're speeding down the street or speeding down the sidewalk. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Monica Kruger.
I did not prepare any remarks, but I feel it is very important for me to speak. Some of you know I've spoken very adamantly and very passionately about the revocation of the city residency requirement. Cliff spelled it out very nicely and passionately. The gentleman before me obviously has had a change of heart. I cannot tell you, I have been a city resident for almost 35 years. My husband worked for the city. I currently work for the city. I currently work for the Health Bureau. I cannot underscore the challenges that we have had just in the Health Bureau over the last several years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. I 100% agree with the gentleman before me. If there is an applicant that is qualified that lives in the city, absolutely. If they are equally qualified, they should be given the job. No doubt about it. We need to think about what works for the city residents. The person that collects your trash, the person that you meet on the street or the mail delivery, the newspaper person, do you ask them where they live? Does it really matter to you where that person lives as long as you are provided the service and the quality that you deserve? Does it really matter? We're in the 21st century. And I'm sorry, folks, but we cannot get the talent we need in the 5.5 square mile radius, which is really maybe 3.2 habitable space. It's not for lack of trying. We have about every qualified person that we can possibly get in the city that is qualified for these jobs. Again, as Cliff said, our salaries are not the highest. We're competing with everybody and their mother out there. And the people that work for the city want to work for the city. It doesn't matter where they live or where they reside. They work for the city because they are committed to the individuals in the city. So I would just ask you all to look at, open your hearts, look long and hard about this because it's impacting our residents and we aren't able to spend grant funding because we can't hire people. That money either goes back to the state or it gets turned into other categories which we don't need any more widgets. We need to be providing services to our residents. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Ms. Annabelle Bonilla.
Okay, Annabelle Bonilla. I came here for something else, but just from listening, I kind of want to speak on the residency factor from my point of view as being someone that tries to do a lot for the community and does a lot of events and tries to get a lot of people together and get a lot of support from city workers. As far as the residency standpoint, I think that it should be expanded because for someone that does a lot from the community, I think we need some unbiased workers put into the mix. There is a lot of people that, are related or with different organizations or with this or with that. I think that the level of expertise or all of that needs to be at the forefront. One of the biggest issues are these jobs are not being filled. I don't want them filled by brothers, cousins, and friends just because they live in York. That's not working well for us. We need different individuals, part of different groups. We need outside opinions. We need new ideas. Obviously, what's working is not working. And we need to mix it up a little bit because what I see from my experience is people are only working with their own throughout the city. And it really needs to be mixed up a little bit. I really would like to see some people outside of these organizations in these meetings with outside opinions, unbiased opinions, not able to be influenced by their sisters, brothers, cousins, wives, uncles. I want people that have not been around to be able to look at it with fresh eyes, with no influence at all whatsoever, and be like, you know what, I think this will work better. I think that's something that's really lacking when it comes to this residential thing, because people they don't know how to put their emotions aside. And there was a lot of good things that I tried to do for the community that became very difficult just on the base of personal opinion versus ego getting in the way of the mission. And I think that that's something that really, really needs to, more emphasis needs to be put on the ego being, you know, and the balance of the ego and the mission. When it comes to people being too closely related, or, you know, yeah, I understand y'all went to school together and this and that or whatever, but there's a big problem with not wanting outsiders in when it comes to, you know, the people that have been here a long time. As an outsider coming and trying to do a lot of things helpful, it should not be this difficult. And I think one of the biggest issues is this residency thing. And if we have more people that are able to fill these positions and have the talents and the mindsets to not be swayed, I think that we will be more successful. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment on non-agenda items? Hearing none, we will adjourn.
President Walker, if I can just say something real quick. I just wanted to apologize to especially Jason and everybody that was watching, and everyone was here last council meeting, because my attitude was horrible. It's just the stress of being in government sometimes, and it got to me. And some of the small things in my life became big problems in my life that would have never normally bothered me. And so council allowed me to take some time off that I really needed. And if any of you caught that horrible attitude that I had last meeting, I'd like to say I apologize. And hopefully she won't come back around anytime before retirement. All right? So forgive me, Jason, and everybody. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Now we will adjourn the public comment session and move on to our legislative agenda. So it is 6:22 p.m. and at this time I would like to call our meeting to order. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis? Here. Buckingham?
Here.
Rivera?
Here.
Washington?
Here.
Walker?
Here. And if you are able to, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, we'll take action on previous meeting minutes from March 1st, 2022. Council, are there any changes or additions that you would like to make? Hearing none, all in favor of approving, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Those minutes are approved. Our meeting scheduled. Upcoming committee meeting, we are resuming those. So our next committee meeting will be March 23rd, 2022 at 6:00 p.m. Agenda items are due by 12 noon on March 16th. Our next legislative meeting will be held on Tuesday, April 5th, 2022 at 6:00 p.m. Agenda items are due by 12 noon on Thursday, March 24th. No reports, so we will move on to our legislative agenda. Council, is there a motion to consider a consent agenda for items 1 through 4 and items 19 through 26? It has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we will have a consent agenda for those items. At this moment, council, will you review those items? And if there are any items that you would like to pull, please let me know. Those are items 1 through 4, items 19 through 26. I'm going to request for item 25 to be pulled. Any items from council to be pulled? Okay, hearing none at this time, can I have a motion to approve items 1 through 4, items 19 through 24, and item 26?
So moved.
It has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments from council in regards to any of those items? Any questions or comments from the public in regards to those items? Again, those are items 1 through 4, 19 through 24, and item 26. All right, hearing no public comment, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Okay, I thought she was getting up. Dennis,
Yes. Here.
Buckingham,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. So ordered. So introduced for item 25, a resolution adopting an ARPA process.
Give me just 1 second here.
Wouldn't we just do that one in order then, if it was pulled from the consent agenda? Wouldn't we just do 25 in order then, since it was pulled from the consent agenda?
After final passage?
Well, didn't you pull that from the consent agenda?
Yes.
So wouldn't it just be back on the regular agenda then?
Yeah, just to be introduced,
Just don't
yeah,
go.
on the regular agenda.
Yeah.
But I could just introduce it now, right? Yeah, I was just going to introduce it after.
Well, I mean, we wouldn't normally jump ahead to it, so.
I get what he's
Does it
saying.
matter legally or?
No, yeah, I get what he's saying, no. All right, so are you introducing that one, Council President?
Yes.
Okay. And, let me find that. I don't have my regular book here with me, so I'm fumbling around here. Is that the ARPA regulations? Okay. All right. Is there a motion to introduce by short title?
I make a motion to introduce by short title.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. All right, give me just 1 second, folks. Okay, and that will be resolution number 40. And I have pre-numbered these, so that's why that's going to be resolution number 40. And that's resolution 40, introduced by Sandy Walker, a resolution adopting an American Rescue Plan Act 2021, or ARPA process, to appropriate ARPA funding to aid local recovery.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions or comments from council? I was just looking for Ms. Baldwin to just give an explanation for the public in regards to this resolution.
Hello, everyone. My name is Melanie Baldwin. I am the proud ARPA person, manager, queen, whatever you'd like to call me. And so this resolution is just the process of, it will go in every ARPA folder. There is a process. However, we're moving forward in accepting money, but we have to have files in place and we have to have processes in place. And so this is an ARPA resolution. Every document that is approved will have the same one. We're not going to have to do all of them. What it does is that it tells us about we'll have the second tranche, we'll have a different one. But what it tells us is about how we have to manage ARPA, and that if the ARPA funds are not used, they come back to Fund 29. They do not go into Fund 10. Fund 10 is the general budget. For the next 4 years, we have to reallocate those funds. So say we gave, you gave me $1,000 and I only used $900. I have to give you back the $100 and you have to reallocate it in a sort of a way that I would have used it or the city would have used it. And so it can't just go back into the general fund. And that's for all of the projects, municipal, public, private, it is for all of them. And the mayor will have to look at them if we get funds back with the city council, because I don't think we're going to get funds back, because we are going to be the management plan is so very fun. We're going to be very time sensitive, as well as working with the people who are actually getting the funds. It is not just we submitted an application and now we give you money, because it's Treasury, and I'm not going to jail. So, and Jason wants me to keep the mayor out of jail. Thank you. So, there's a process for all of that, the ARPA funds, and there's a process.
Everybody stays out of jail.
The application, there's an application they have to go through, there's a training they have to go through, because everything is online. And so it's not just like, ooh, I got the money. You have to submit a project plan. You have to submit a timeline. We just don't give you funds and then, ooh, I'm done. Because I have to submit a report quarterly to Treasury about what we've done, what projects we have, what expenditure categories that they're in, and they have redefined some of them and made them more delineated. So that is the reason that I have this process resolution there, so that no one can say, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to give the money back, or I didn't know that I had to abide by these rules. They will get an agreement, which they sign, and it's 18 pages, and my wonderful Jason has looked it over, and it goes. So it is not just, we're going to just give you the money. We have to make sure that we're very responsible. We have integrity, and it's critical that we have plans and processes.
And Ms. Baldwin, this is, just so everyone knows, this is direct, this resolution is straight from Treasury, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Well, the requirement that this resolution is passed and then attached to everything else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because they have to have documentation of how you had that particular project come into ARPA. And so it's not just we passed, because we passed for the money. We did not pass for the programs.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions or comments from council? Any questions or comments from the public? Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis?
Yes.
Buckingham?
Yes.
Rivera?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes. That is so ordered. Moving on to final passage of bills and resolutions. Up first, we have final passage of Bill number 3.
And that was Bill number 3, which was introduced by, it was introduced by Queen of Washington, and that is a bill amending the CDBG CV COVID-19 budget to reflect changes resulting in rollovers from 2021 to 2022.
Move for a vote.
Is there a second? Second. Has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council? Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis?
Yes.
Buckingham?
Yes.
Rivera?
Yes.
Washington?
Abstain.
Reason for abstention?
Place of employment.
All in favor of abstention, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Walker?
Yes. And that is so ordered. Moving on to final passage of Bill number 7.
And that was Bill number 7, which was introduced by Queen of Washington, a bill amending the fiscal year 2022 budget for community and economic development to fund an annual principal and interest payment on the Crispus Attucks loan per memorandum of understanding by appropriating revenues and expenditures in the amount of $31,500.
Move for a vote.
Second. Has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council? Any questions or comments from the public? Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis?
Yes.
Buckingham,
Yes.
Washington, no, I'm sorry, Rivera,
Yes.
Washington.
Abstain.
Reason for abstention.
In place of employment.
All in favor of abstention, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Walker.
Yes. That is so ordered. Moving on to final passage of Bill number 11.
Bill number 11, which was introduced by Sandy Walker, a bill amending the 2022 budget for the fire department to fund Rex Laurel Fire Station renovations by appropriating expenditures from Arpa funds in the amount of $750,000, and the community and economic development to fund Penn Street Market renovations by appropriating revenue and expenditures from Arpa funds in the amount of $750,000.
Move to approve.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council? Any questions or comments from the public?
This is for the Penn Market funds, right?
Penn Market and Rex Laurel.
Right, so my question is, and I know that, like the other lady said, that a lot of things are suggested. Like a lot of these plans are not set in stone, there's different things like that. So, one of my questions is, because I was also listening that the programs aren't approved, but the money's approved for the ARPA funding and stuff like that. Does that apply to the money that's going to Penn Market?
It applies to all the money. So
Okay.
what we did with that resolution.
Can you? Sorry, you might have to switch.
Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I know what I'm talking about before I say anything.
Okay, so what it means is that we authorized the money. Now with that process resolution, they're authorizing the programs.
Okay.
So the programs themselves, with however they come out, whatever they may come out to be, they're now okay to move forward.
So does that include the program from the Health Bureau that is being used for the plan for Penn Market?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, whatever and then we,
No,
Yes.
it doesn't.
No,
Not at all.
not at all. Not at all.
well,
Not
I
at
should say
all.
no.
That's right.
This is, I'm sorry, this is,
Two different things.
All right.
yeah, absolutely not. This, if I may, Madam President, or do you wish to?
Yeah, I can take this
Okay, thank you.
from here.
Thank you.
For the 750, that's just a dollar amount. So that's for the engineering, the plans, et cetera, but the programming, that has not been set in stone. This is purely to match the RACP grants so that we can proceed forward with renovations, whatever needs to be done in order to accomplish those renovations.
Yeah, so that also is part of my questions as far as those renovations. Like, is that set in stone? Because
No.
we went through a lot of it with the Pet Market Committee, but it didn't really seem like there was anything really agreed on, especially the amount of space that was going to be used, like for the classroom versus what might be used for like an event space or whatever. Like so there wasn't really agreements or whatever on what the layout was going to be or what the fun, so like to even say how much is it going to cost, I would think that we have to agree. But either way, so my main concern is the Pet Market Committee and the transparency to the community. I think that there needs to be more of a link. Right now, there's a lot of planning going on with this money, and there's not enough community engagement. These committee meetings, I think better notes should be taken. It should be public documented. It should be recorded just like a lot of other meetings because it's very, very, very important to the community. Right now, if there's going to be a $3.5 million renovation on Penn Market, which is the heart of this community, especially a West Side community, it's a historical landmark. It's the oldest. The market out here, is very, very important, but I feel like the transparency and being a part of that Penn Market Committee, there's not enough coming out to the community. I think it only goes but so far as some of those emails, and it's not really reaching who it needs to reach. So I'm just wondering, I'm hoping that, with this being approved or anything happening, if we're gonna move on with talking about the layout, talking about what's important, talk about what the community needs, talk about this, talking about that, I think we should have more public interaction with that, and not just in that committee meeting, because there is a lot of footwork that needs to be done. A lot of people in the community that don't have a voice, maybe don't have technology, don't have, just like all the meetings for the Arpa funds, all the public, whatever, we got Monday messages, we got all these things for, all these other meetings that we are having. I think the extent of importance that is being put on Penn Market needs to be publicized as well. I think, the surveys, the questions, the this, the that, I think all that needs to also be put into place when it comes to even deciding the layout. There's a reason for this Penn Market committee, but the information is still not reaching everyone in this committee if it's not just in that email list. I think there needs to be more done as far as the community's voice, on especially that big back area that doesn't have, there's a big area in the back that they're like, oh, is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? Is it going to be this? But no one can say what it's really going to be. And I think those gray areas in that, I think it leads to problematic issues down the line when things are being, when you say, well, we asked people's opinion and only one person said something. Well, how many people did you let know that this was the time to say something? And I think that that's where it needs to be more improved on, as far as the community knowing how valuable their voice is going to be with Penn Market. And I've stood here for almost 4 years now talking about the importance of Penn Market. And I really want people that are as passionate as me to be able to have a voice and say, how they feel about this neighborhood market. This is not a flea market. This is not this is love. This is true, love. Every vendor in there, every community member, you go in there, you get goosebumps. I get goosebumps talking about it. Penn Market is special. It's very special. I would not still be standing here talking about it if it wasn't. It opened a door for me to be an avid community member and to build relationships and with business owners and do events for the community. And it needs to be put on that pedestal. And I just really think that the transparency needs to be better. Like I said, meetings should be recorded. Everyone should be able to see, not just read an email that says what we discussed, but not include any of the opposition. That's not fair. If someone was not at that meeting and they look at these meeting notes, they don't see anything on there about someone not agreeing to what was being discussed. And that's the transparency that's not there. It needs to be both sides. Everything needs to be shown. People need to know what's going on. They need to know what's going to be included in this. If this plan is being built around a health program, as far as including health education, what is that going to apply? Because, I've been trying to do classes for years. We really need to know all the ins and outs of this. And I know we're still at this preliminary factor of just trying to get this money approved so we can get the ball rolling, because nothing's set in stone. But what I'm asking is, when things start to get set in stone, it really needs to be more transparent, and I really hope that it is put on a higher level of importance. Can we be on that TV network? Can we be on that? This is important. This is very, very important, and I really just hope that it is treated as such. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor, you look like you have something to say.
I certainly do. Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to clarify a little bit, and thank you for your comments, and I agree with your comments. However, the City of York does not own Penn Market. The Redevelopment Authority, which is an independent authority of the City of York, owns Penn Market and is 100% responsible for the plans and moving forward with Penn Market. So I think you know that already. The place to address your issues is definitely at the Redevelopment Authority meetings. Because they're an independent authority, none of the elected officials can control what the RDA does. We can make suggestions, and with this resolution, we are a contributor to the state grant, the RACP grant, and this money goes forward so that by the June deadline, we will have all the money assembled that we need to make sure that the money is available to the RDA to match the grant so that we don't lose the grant. After that, other than citizens, we don't have a lot of control over it. They make the final...
Hold on 1 second, 1 second. If you have a comment, you can, but we're not going to go back and forth with discussion.
Right.
So
Yeah, we
I just
don't-
want-
It's just,
okay.
my thing is just as the city, as your city, I think even if it's not your responsibility, or not your responsibility, like if it's their business and your business, okay, but it's one city, you know, and the importance of what's going on. I think if the city and the mayor and everyone involved can stop separating it as far as a promotional standpoint, I'm just asking for the transparency of it. I'm not asking people
I'm agreeing.
to go from one side to the other. I'm asking for that line to not be as whatever when it comes to something that affects the city as a whole. I know the RDA's here and I know the city's here, but this is something that includes everyone and really should be promoted from the city as well. You know, it's not, that's them, they deal with their own advertising, they deal with, no, this is something that the city is also involved in, so it should always still be in the loop of a promotional conversation.
Understood. The details of how the meetings are conducted or whether or not they are shown, that's all falls under the RDA, though. We don't have the ability to direct the RDA. So I'm just suggesting or requesting that you make these exact same comments at the RDA and make sure that they're aware.
And just make sure you put the information on your Monday meeting.
All right.
I appreciate your passion for the Penn market.
My apologies. I just picked up a city cell phone, and I have iPhone, so I don't know how to operate this droid. Diana just helped me out. So, thank you. Is there any other questions or comments from the public?
Hello, my name is Melissa Rosario. That's Rosario. I'm a small business owner in Waco, and my husband and I, we host meetings for the business owners in Waco monthly. And many of the attendees are business owners in Penn Market, so I'd like to speak to that. I'd like to speak in favor of the Arpa funds being distributed for renovations in Penn Market. Being a business owner in Waco, I can say that the market is an anchor in the neighborhood. The ARPA priorities, according to the York City government website, are public safety, a healthy community, and economic impact. Penn Market is one of few resources that prevents York City from becoming a total food desert. Penn Market brings unique value to Waco in that there are vendors selling fresh ingredients and not just pre-prepared foods. No shade to Central Market. Having a bustling market in the neighborhood not only has a positive economic impact, but the increased foot traffic of people out and about doing their shopping makes the neighborhood safer for all of us. So to recap, public safety, check. Healthy community, check. Economic impact, check. I think that it's time to invest in Penn Market. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Susan Booker. I'm a vendor at Penn Market, and I'm here to really just second the two previous comments. I agree with the request for more visibility of discussion, and I strongly, strongly endorse the assignment of these funds. Thank you.
Thank you. If you hadn't had a chance, please, I was going to say this at the end of the meeting, but please look at the ARPA recommendation plan. Thank you for your input. We appreciate the input, and we will continue to have input in regards to ARPA funds. We'll continue to work with the mayor and administration. And so what you're saying is noted, and we'll brainstorm. You know, I'll show up at the market, even though you don't have a stand there any longer, but I have your email contact info so we can see the best ways that we can go about moving forward.
I'm actually the nutrition educator for part of that program that they're offering out of the
Okay.
It still kind of keeps me in that loop of what's going on. I just want to know if I'm going to.
You got to come up there if you.
Oh, sorry.
You got to come up to the mic if you.
So I just want to clarify that I don't have a stand at the market, but I do. The part of the plan, as the suggested, plan is to get some health classes out of there coming from the Health Bureau. that comes from the Heart Smarts program and different things like that. The healthy food program initiatives that we have and stuff like that, which comes from Penn Market. That comes from York Fresh Food Farms, which I'm the nutrition educator for and the outreach engagement and coordinator for. So if we can, utilize these programs, the Heart Smart programs or the Just Say Yes programs, that's the only reason that I'm saying that even though I don't have a stand in the market, if I can help, with the classes or anything, because that is the program that I'm the nutrition educator in, then I still want to make sure that I can help Penn Market be successful to provide the community with the education factor.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis,
Yes.
Buckingham,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. And that is so ordered. Up next, we have final passage of Bill number 12.
And that's Bill number 12, which was introduced by Queen of Washington, a bill amending the CBG and home budgets to roll over amounts to the 2022 budget.
Move for a vote.
Has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council? Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis,
Yes.
Buckingham.
Yes.
Rivera.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. That is so ordered. Next, we have final passage of Bill number 13.
And it was Bill number 13, introduced by Queen of Washington, a bill amending the Bureau of Housing Services budget to reflect rollover amounts for the 2022 budget.
Move for a vote.
Has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council? Any questions or comments from the public? Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis,
Yes.
Buckingham,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. That is so ordered. Moving on to final passage of Bill number 14.
Bill number 14, which was introduced by a Queen of Washington, amending the 2022 budget to roll over from 2021 to 2022 for Habitat for Humanity Chestnut Street project in the amount of $42,336.79.
Move for a vote.
Has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council? No. Any questions or comments from the public?
This is the first time I've been to
Sir,
city.
Can you just state your name first?
Chris Anderson.
Yes, thank you.
I've been confused because you say numbers and then you speak to different things that aren't here. In other words, you said a number and then someone discussed a bill that's a different number on here. This has happened. Am I mentally ill? It might be. Okay. Okay.
No. But,
Peace, love, and understanding.
all right. Okay, are there any other questions or comments from the public?
Wisdom from above here.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Baldwin. Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Which one are we on now?
14.
Bill number 14,
Bill number 14.
okay. Dennis,
Yes.
Buckingham,
Yes.
Rivera.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. That is so ordered. Moving on to final passage of Bill number 15.
Bill number 15, which was introduced by the Queen of Washington, a bill amending the 2022 budget for the police department to fund rent and utility payments for 48 South Duke Street property per memorandum of understanding with York College in the amount of $20,000.
Move for a vote.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council? Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis,
Yes.
Buckingham,
Yes.
Rivera.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. That is so ordered. Moving on to final passage of Bill number 16.
Bill number 16, which was introduced by Queen of Washington, amending the 2022 budget for the Bureau of Health by appropriating revenue and expenditures for tuberculosis, the TB program in the amount of $7,436, and for the immunization and vaccine grant program in the amount of $236,114.86.
Move for a vote.
Has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council? Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis.
Yes.
Buckingham.
Yes.
Rivera.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes, that is so ordered. Up next, we have final passage of Bill number 17.
That's Bill number 17, which was introduced by Queen of Washington, a bill amending the 2022 budget for the Bureau of Health by appropriating revenue and expenditures for various Fund 26 projects in the amount of $65,197.90, and the Police Department for Fund 26 special projects in the amount of $175,813.44.
Move for a vote.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council? Any questions or comments from the public? Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis.
Yes.
Buckingham.
Yes.
Rivera. Yes. Washington.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes, that is so ordered. Moving on to new business. We have an introduction of a bill approving the 2022 codified ordinances.
Bill number 18, introduced by Lou Rivera, a bill approving the 2022 codified ordinance replacement pages. These are for the 2021 ordinances.
That is an introduction, so it will sit. We have another introduction approving the transfer of funds for the financial year 2021 city budget.
So introduced.
Bill number 19, introduced by Felicia Dennis, approving the transfer of funds in the 2021 budget for environmental services and recreation and parks for making an appropriation for money not otherwise appropriated in the combined amount of $885.19 to fund the remaining laundry cleaning services costs for 2021.
Again, that's the introduction, so it will sit until our next meeting. Another introduction of Bill number 20, amending the financial year 2021 city budget.
So introduced.
Bill number 20, introduced by Queen of Washington, amending the 2021 budget for the fire department by appropriating revenue and expenditures for architectural, engineering, consulting services for the Rex Laurel Fire Station renovations in the amount of $35,251.92.
Up next, we have introduction of Bill number 21.
So introduced.
Bill number 21, introduced by Betsy Buckingham, a bill amending, making an appropriation for money not otherwise appropriated in the amount of $5,500 for office equipment, furniture, and capital data processing software for the Treasurer's Office.
Again, that will sit. Next, we have introduction of Bill number 22.
So introduced.
Bill number 22, introduced by Queen of Washington, a bill making an appropriation for money not otherwise appropriated in the amount of $43,528.41 to fund vehicle and vehicle lease purchase expenses for the fire department.
And that will sit until our next legislative meeting. There are no requests for future meetings. Is there any council comment? Administration comment?
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to start by recognizing that on Sunday we lost an extremely dedicated employee, Cherie Allwine, 44 years dedicated to the city of York and a friend to many, and just helping the city and thinking about the city right up to the end. So this world lost her, but good voyage to the next. Wanted to comment on a couple of things I heard during public comment, and that was Ms. Maruskin. I have to say that the numbers that you get put out there were not exactly correct, but I agree with your sentiments. So the budget included about $6 million, a little bit over $6 million total. Only about $2 million of that was to go to outside entities. And the total number of applications, I think, was 132, and about half of those, around half, were internal applications, and some organizations also applied through multiple applications. So I'm with you 100%, but we were only asking for $2 million, not $6 million, $2 million to go to organizations, and just that these aren't handouts, these are for very specific purposes, like $500,000 to Habitat for Humanity to help with our homeless issue, to build more houses. I won't go on, but it wasn't, here is some money for your general fund. It was the city of York and our residents need these services, and we believe that you are the best that can provide those services. So as we continue our discussions, as President Walker and I and other council members continue our discussions, I will continue to point out the advantages of the options that the advisory group put together, and we'll see where we go from there. So I'm with you. I just wanted to make sure that folks knew the proper numbers there. So it was only about $2 million out of the total 35 that we were putting forward. Next item is that Mr. Abbott and all others, city residents already get preferential treatment in the hiring process. That is an existing thing now. They get points when we have two candidates. We actually recently, within the last year or so, had a candidate that scored just slightly less, just a hair less than a candidate that was outside of the city, and the city candidate actually was hired or offered the position. So that is already an existing thing. So the residency requirement doesn't affect that. That exists no matter what. So I'll leave it at that. And also, dirt bikes. We're gonna work on getting more information to folks on a strategy for that. However, I believe dirtbikeinfo@yorkcity.org is still active. Dirtbikeinfo@yorkcity.org. Now, the important thing about that is it doesn't help us to say that you saw dirt bikes. What we need to know is where you are seeing them pulling into garages. If we can at least pinpoint that kind of information, that is something that we can work from. And if you live very near them and want to share when you see them going in and out of the garage, that is helpful as well. But just seeing them drive down the road, as I did today, four-wheelers driving in front of my house, it's not just dirt bikes, it's also the four-wheelers and other things that are out there. But as always, we also have to be very careful. I know it is disturbing and it's reckless, but we can't create a situation where more harm is done by chasing them. We need to have a strategic plan of catching them when we are not endangering their lives or the lives of other people that aren't even involved. Once they start running, they could become even more erratic than they already are, and that threatens innocent people as well as the people that might be driving. So we can't take that step, but we can be smarter, and that's what we're trying to do. And with your help, and again, dirtbikeinfo@yorkcity.org is how you contact us on this particular issue. And other than enjoy springtime, I think I'm done with my messages. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mayor. I meant to say this during the CDBG budget, but just for the public, I might be off on this, but Mr. Crosby, do we get a lot of input for CDBG funds?
Yes, we have public hearings.
Can you come up to the, I'm sorry. I just want to
told you you
make
should've
the
left
public aware that mostly on an annual basis, there's public input on how funding should be spent when it comes to CDBG.
Yes, James Crosby, Deputy Director for the Bureau of Housing Services. I thought I was going to get away with not saying anything, but I was wrong. Yes, these funds that we're talking about here, they were planned way back in the spring, spring of 2021. We're just carrying them over to into 2022 at this particular time. We'll do a new planning cycle probably in April or May for 2023. So that's how that basically works.
Thank you. And then residents should look on the website for information for upcoming meetings and for public input
For
and
public
engagement.
hearings, they can look on the website for applications, for community development block grant applications, home applications, that sort of thing, if they want to submit them.
Thank you. Thank you. Just wanted to put that out for the public because we have been in a pandemic for the past 2 years, so kind of lose track of things. All right. I believe that closes our administration and council comments. At this time, we will adjourn our meeting. Thank you all for attending.